Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. You know my guest, Ryan McCartan, from such shows as Heathers, Wicked, and Frozen. Well, now he has just stepped into the iconic role of Jay Gatsby in the hit musical The Great Gatsby, and I caught up with him here at the legendary Sardi's. Welcome back to Broadway. How does it feel?
I mean, it feels right, it feels surreal, it feels scary, it feels wonderful. I didn't think it would be this. I didn't think it would be like this, but it's such a distinct honor, and I'm really having a lot of fun so far.
Because you didn't pursue this role, did you?
No, it wasn't on my radar at all. I mean, I didn't know that Jeremy was leaving. I didn't know that. I mean, I've said this before, but I do think it's worth repeating. I'm 31, but I've been doing this for 24 years. So, I started when I was very young, and for most of my career, I was the youngest person in the cast. And I very much internalized that. And so, and then I was on Disney Channel, and, I played JD, who, even though I was in my 20s, he's a teenager. And, Hans is a Disney prince, and they're kind of always 18, even if they aren't. You know what I mean? And so, notwithstanding the characters I've played, but also the experience that I had as a child actor, I am so used to being like a boy. And Gatsby is such a man. And that was not in my sphere of possibility. And so when I was approached about it, I was like, this is a joke. Like, Jeremy Jordan's like a man, and I'm like a kid. And it's like, no, Ryan, you're 31, and like you can do this, And I saw the show and fell in love with it, fell in love with the possibility of doing it. I'm incredibly fortunate that, I met with the creative team before anything happened. It was sort of like, we're interested, but let's meet each other first. It protects me, it protects them, we love. Very smart way to do business. And they were so insistent about we want you because we want you. Let's build your version of this. And that is a very refreshing way to replace someone, especially someone as iconic as Jeremy, because it would be so easy to be like, what he did is perfect, so can we just have this again? But they took a risk on, let's do it your way and see what that feels like. And nothing feels better to an artist than that. And so it was this thing that felt so impossible that then felt possible, that then felt probable, that then felt necessary. And I'm so happy that it has happened.
They are the nicest creative team.
Literally.
You have on that show. We've sat with them many, many times. Yeah. But it must have, when you hear something like that, you're like, okay, now I think I can climb that mountain.
Yeah, well, and then you start climbing it, and you realize you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. Because then you get into the rehearsal room, and it's like, okay, how much of what you said do you mean? Because, we also, we want you to get the job, so we're telling you the things to get the job, let's just get you in the room. But no, any time David, the associate, or Mark, the director, would give me a note, it would be like, you can push back on this. What do you think? And it really felt like we built something together.
Yeah. What was your first rehearsal like? Because you knew the book, right?
Very much so, yeah.
So did you go in with this is the way it is in the book?
Yes. And so, because that was something, the thing that I love about Jeremy's performance is it's the musical theater Gatsby. And then we have the movie Gatsby, with Leonardo, that's my version of it at least. And then we have sort of book Gatsby. And I was really intrigued about the idea of trying to put book Gatsby onto the stage, because I am such a nerd and because I am such a fan of the book. And I'm jumping around chronologically here, but in my first rehearsal, there were a few moments where we were talking about it, and it was like, well, actually, in the book, what happened? And I felt like such a dork. And then on my first rehearsal with Sarah, she did the exact same thing. And I was like, oh, thank God. We're both losers. This is going to go so well for us. But there was a huge appetite for like, oh, okay, we can pull from the amazing work that Jeremy did and from what we know about the music. We can pull from these amazing movies that we have. And we can pull from, obviously, the source material of the book, and we can combine all of them to inform our choices. And all of that was on the table. And again, that's just so artistically fulfilling.
Yeah. I love this show. So what's it like living in the world of The Great Gatsby, the musical?
I think that the thing that I'm most enjoying is discovering how alive it can feel to play one thing all the time. Because Gatsby is not, his character arc is not an arc, it's a line. It's Daisy, and then 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 you die and roll into the pit. But it's Daisy the whole time. And I was a little, not apprehensive, but okay, how is it going to feel doing this over and over and over again, where like it is one thing? But that is actually very alive. It doesn't get old to want one thing over and over and over again because it is so direct and it is so potent, his desire for her and what he perceives she can give him. And then you combine that with the opulence of the Tony Award-winning costumes, the perfect set design, all of that automation, there's a car on stage, and it's just so larger than life. Everything about it is so Gatsby and so over-amplified. But right here, there is a tiny little engine saying one word over and over again, and sort of the contrast between those two of being in this robust environment, but having just that one thing that you want is like a fascinating thing to experience 8 times a week.
It drives your performance.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very rarely do people get to go in together with the other lead. So you two, you went in with Sarah Hyland,
Yeah.
of course, as Daisy.
Yeah.
Does it make it a little easier?
Yeah, no, absolutely it does. I mean, and it wasn't just Sarah. I was actually, because it was me, Terry Mann, around the same time. Sarah was a couple weeks after me, and then a wonderful new selection of ensemble members as well. And so it can feel a little isolating when the show is happening 8 times a week over there, and you're in Pearl or Ripley with tape on the ground being like, only tea, you know what I mean? And so, and I'm used to that, swinging into Wicked and Frozen. I had Sierra, I had Mackenzie, but this sort of felt like a wave of a lot of different people with a lot of different experiences and a lot of different personal ways with which they wanted to tell the story. And so, it kind of feels like season 2.
Yeah.
And to be a part of that was so it felt like I was a part of something instead of trying to like shoehorn myself into being part of something else. And I will also say the manner in which the existing cast welcomed us and fully accepted us and ingratiated us in their onstage and backstage traditions, in their senses of humor, in their in the emotional integrity with which they do the show every night. I think everyone on that stage, their talent speaks for itself. Nothing is better than doing a good show with good people. Yeah. And the new folks are good people. And the folks that are on their way out to pursue other things are good people. And those that are staying and continuing this legacy on with us newbies are good people. And that is almost worth more than anything else, in my opinion.